Hey there, friend. Welcome back to Daily Dose Radio here in the Bible Bistro. Come on in here and sit down with me. I hope that you had a great Thanksgiving celebration last week, and I hope that you're having a great Advent celebration. I don't know how you celebrate Advent. Maybe you do the calendar, and maybe you do all the different little activities that lead up to Christmas during Advent, but it's always important to take this season to remember the coming of Christ, which is what Advent means. His first coming is celebrated during this season. And of course, it's a wonderful first coming because in great condescension, Christ came and took on the form of the servant, the flesh of men, and became a man, but yet still was God. He's both God and man. The same thing at one time. It's wonderful. It's marvelous. Well, today we're going to look at something wonderful and marvelous because we're going to read Psalm 133. In Psalm 133, verse 3, we're going to conclude Psalm 133 today, and tomorrow we'll pick up with verse 1 in Psalm 134. Psalm 134 is only 3 verses, so we're going to do both of these Psalms this week. And then don't forget, at the end of this week, I'm going to take off for Christmas time and come back in January, and we'll pick up with Psalm 135, and we'll take that to Psalm 150, and then we'll start Volume 4 of Daily Dose Radio with Psalm 1:1. So here we go. Today is Psalm 133. If you have your Bible, why don't you open it up there, and I'm going to read for us, beginning in verse 3. As the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion, for there the Lord commanded the blessing, life forevermore. All right, as the dew of Hermon. So we're still talking about unity, and this is now the second similitude in this psalm. The first one was the oil that ran down upon the beard, and we talked about that yesterday. This is an example of the Spirit of God on the priest, and from the head to the toe. And Aaron, of course, there representing the church. From the head to the toe, unity within the body, because the Spirit of God binds it all together. But where does that unity come from? Well, it comes from God. And you'll notice here in verse 3, it's like the dew which ran down, like the dew upon Hermon, which ran down upon the hills of Zion. So the dew on Hermon. Hermon is that really tall mountain in the northern part of Israel. And the watershed from Hermon feeds into the valleys below it. And so the dew that falls upon Hermon is an example or a similitude of the blessing of heaven, which runs down and, blesses and feeds and cares for his own people. So unity is like the dew, is like the oil. It runs down. And it comes from God. Because remember what we said there in verse 1, what the psalmist David said, how good and how delightful or how pleasant is this unity among brothers. And that comes from only one place. The Spirit of God provides it in the church. It runs down from the head to the toe of Aaron, and it comes from heaven itself because it's represented here by Hermon and the dew that falls. And where does that dew come from? The dew comes from heaven. God provides it, and he wants it. He wants it for his people. And notice at the end of verse 3 it says, for there the Lord commanded the blessing. Where? Well, we could say Zion, and of course, I'm sure the travelers who are singing the song, they're right there. I mean, this is the 14th step, so they're probably in the city. And they're talking about Zion. It was in, 132. Zion was present 132. It's present 133. And I think we're going to see it again in 134 because we're going to talk about the priesthood at night who stand in the temple. That this is the place where blessing comes from, and it's unity in the body of believers that promotes the gospel message of love and unity, because that's what should be in every congregation. Love and unity amongst the brethren, so that there's one mission and one mind and one message, and that comes from heaven, and it gives birth to this unity that is not present, in the world at large at all, really. So, join me tomorrow. We're going to look in Psalm 134, beginning in verse 1. I'll see you then here on Daily Dose Radio.